For starters, it's not a buyback. It's a confiscation program. The government can't buy back firearms that were never its to begin with. We have a firearms program run by a public safety minister who doesn't even know what a gun license is. So this is not a public safety minister that has any legitimacy or any credibility on this file.
Is Mark Carney being honest with Canadians about his gun agenda?
Journalism commentary 1 year anniversary.
I don't believe journalism being funded by the government is the solution.
You have to rebuild your foundation.
You have to retell the story.
Market conservative
Other news that actually matters.
I hence wanted to ask. I think they should answer their questions, especially if they're politically charged. I spoke with Conservative MP Andrew Lawton here at the Conservative Party convention in Calgary. We spoke about Mark Carney's gun plans or gun confiscation. We talked about why they are problematic, the resistance, and I asked Andrew Lawton, does he think Mark Carney is being honest with Canadians about his gun plans? So without further ado, let's see this interview now. Well, I'm here at the Conservative Convention with Member of Parliament Andrew Lawton, who, fun fact, used to be my boss at True North when we were both journalists there, and we covered the last Conservative Convention in Quebec City together, but now he is a Member of Parliament, so we're going to start by talking a bit about that. Andrew, what have you noticed is the number one issue in your community in Ontario?
I think all communities in Canada are dealing with some of the same challenges. Affordability is massive. I actually was just speaking in the House of Commons this past week about the record demand at food banks of people in my riding in St. Thomas and Elmer and in London. And this is an issue that is really a make or break issue for a lot of Canadian families. And we have not yet seen from the government a real tackling of that. So that's key. And crime is also big. And that one ties directly to the work I'm doing on the Justice Committee, trying to fix the last 10 years of Liberal bail reforms that have made it easier for people to get out on bail.
Yeah, crime is a big issue. I've covered it a lot, and those videos have gone viral because I think a lot of people can relate to them. Kind of related to crime a bit is firearms. The Liberal government has now a firearms buyback program. I know you've been quite vocal about that. For those who are maybe less familiar with the gun buyback program, can you maybe explain what it is?
Well, for starters, it's not a buyback. It's a confiscation program. The government can't buy back firearms that were never its to begin with. We have seen this government for years now, for the last 5.5 years, try to target law-abiding gun owners who are not the sources of gun crime, whose firearms are not the sources of the guns used in crime, but this has been where the government has directed its ire. And police have been lining up over the last few days, including every police service of jurisdiction in my riding and most across Ontario, to say they will not participate in the gun buyback, the gun confiscation, because they know that, first off, they can't afford to use sparse resources to go after law-abiding gun owners, but more importantly, they know that that's not where the problems are. If we're going to deal with gun crime, we need to get serious about the cross-border smuggling and organized crime, and that's where this whole gun buyback that the government has tried to put forward against so many objections is just missing the mark entirely.
What do you make of the fact that there's been so much resistance and pushback from different authorities to this buyback or confiscation of guns from the Liberals?
Well, I think it's important because these are the experts. These are the people that are actually going out there and protecting communities and making arrests when there's been a shooting. Yeah. So when these people are saying that the guns they're seizing are not the guns that the government is asking them to seize, that's something that the Liberals should be listening to. But again, I mean, we have a firearms program run by a public safety minister who doesn't even know what a gun license is. So this is not a public safety minister that has any legitimacy or any credibility on this file.
Is Mark Carney being honest with Canadians about his gun agenda?
Well, I think the whole program is rooted in misinformation. It's rooted in the idea that you will make Canadians safer by removing firearms from hunters, sports shooters, and farmers. So I think in that case, the whole program is based on a complete lie.
So then it's fair to say he's not being honest with Canadians?
No, either he's ignorant or he's not being honest. I don't know which it is. I'll let him answer that. The public safety minister, Gary Ananasangri, he's been caught on tape acknowledging that this program is not going to work, that it is just a political tactic. So I think the Liberals know that this is not going to improve public safety.
Well, let's talk now about Pierre Poilievre. There's the leadership review. Of course, this may be published after the vote is released, but I'm feeling quite confident that he will do well. You know Pierre Poilievre quite well. You've interviewed him many times, and you also wrote a book about him. Why do you think he is best fit to lead the party into the next election in get a second chance to challenge Mark Carney?
I am 100% behind Pierre Poilievre. Our caucus is united. Our Conservative family is united. I think we need to look at the fact that we made gains and inroads with communities and regions that no one ever expected the Conservatives to do well with in this past election. Seats that we picked up in southwestern Ontario, Hamilton, Windsor, London, gains we made in BC. And all of that was because we had a leader in Pierre Poilievre that engaged young people, that engaged working class Canadians, and built a huge coalition that got a percentage of the popular vote that in any other election would have been a majority government were it not for the oddities of what was happening here. So I think we need to build on that, figure out what we can do better next time, but I believe wholeheartedly that Pierre is the guy for that.
Lastly, I mentioned at the start that you used to be a journalist and you're north with myself, and last time you were here as a journalist, now you're here as a member of parliament. How does that feel and how has that transition been?
Yeah, last time I was the one putting the microphones in people's faces. Now it's the microphones in my face. Look, I think it's exciting. I ran for office not because I wanted to run away from what I was doing as a journalist, but because I thought that being an elected official would be the best way to champion the values I was championing as a broadcaster and an author. And I'm still doing that. I'm just doing it on the floor of the House of Commons now.
Well, this was Andrew Lawton. Andrew Lawton, thank you for chatting with me today.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you, Ellie.
And that concludes our interview with Andrew Lawton. I'm Ellie Cantin-Nantel. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe. And if you like independent media, we do not take a dime from the government. So consider becoming a paid member or subscriber and consider supporting our Conservative Convention Fund. It costs about $3,000 to cover this convention and it is entirely self-funded. So if you want to support that, then click the link to the Give, Send, Go. Thank you and God bless.